All right, what's going on out there, YouTube family? Just want to give a huge acknowledgement, shout out, and congratulations. I would say to a very near and dear to my heart community of DC film fans. Um, some people would say I shouldn't even be talking about this. Some people would probably say like you should just kind of drop any kind of verbal conversation about this, but a lot of people don't know that I was there when um, online and during the premiere in I think it was in Hong Kong, and they were going just like talking about and chatting about like what Justice League could be, what Justice League was gonna be. And Fiona 2 days later just started to push all these different things that we had no idea we were missing out on what this Justice League movie could have been. And then from Fiona, it sparked this amazing movement and all these amazing people like, I'm saying the two Chris's, I would say Chris Wong and then Chris that's developing the Black Suit Edition, so many other people like, Film Junkie, Dave, and just so many others. And I mean, for me, I knew for a fact this whole entire time that everything that these people are talking about, everybody that's a community of release the Snyder Cut, it's coming from a place of reality. It's not like it's just not true. And the reality is like for me, like I went and did a whole documentary on it. I did a 5-part documentary that's about roughly about 6 hours worth of content, and even during being like press coordination with Warner Brothers, got denied doing like kind of press screening stuff on a digital side because I even just did that documentary. So to be blunt, I'm very much so an advocate for the artistic exploration of what we could have seen with Justice League. I am all the way, release the hashtag Snyder Cut. And the thing is that today they decided to go and push as much as they could, like everybody go and push. The last time they did this, I think it was like last year or something like that. It was like it stopped right at roughly around 50K. This time, these people ended up going with 62.2 thousand tweet trends. And I mean, you can't not acknowledge it. You can't not, see it. And I think the big question is one of my friends, a good friend, Jarrell Alexandria, we had a conversation even yesterday. And honestly, I have a lot of conversations with people all the time about, what do you think about Zack Snyder's vision? What do you think about this whole Snyder cut? Like, should this kind of die? Should people stop talking about it? Like, when is this going to end? And I mean, I would go easily bring up, the Donner cut, Richard Donner cut that took 20 years and to make it even see the light of day. I think that the difference with that versus now is that we're in an age of digital watermarks where you got like legit um, VFX studios that have like footage of stuff that's just not there that they consistently have to take down. You have like, what I'm saying, the composer for the original um, whatchamacallit, oh my gosh, Batman v Superman and Junkie XL, who got taken off the project randomly, and they put Danny Elfman in, who literally just acknowledged just 2 days ago that the basically the soundtrack was completed. When you've got like cinematographers like your boy, your boy that was the original cinematographer for the film, like like where is my footage of this film? Um, and on top of that, actors in Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa today got with the trend and literally showed a picture in black and white of an impalement of your boy Steppenwolf. And he's even said bluntly that he was able to see a finished, sharpened cut of, the Justice League. Like he said it. You know what I'm saying? I think also Ray Fisher has also said it. I feel like Ray Fisher's career has kind of suffered from it in so many regards, but at the same time, like he did get a really good opportunity with man, what was that? True Detective season 3, which he did an amazing job with. Um, but it's kind of like almost like these people are kind of like blacklisted, like the actors, cinematographer, like the composers, whenever they bring out something like this, it's like, why can't you just stop? Like you're polluting the air, um, and it's not their fault. Like at a certain point, it's 2 years later, right? When it was kind of like maybe 6 months in, you're kind of like, oh well, we may never get it. It's whatever. You can kind of just let it go. And I could have said the same thing for David Ayer, who's dealing with the same exact ramification. That's for a whole nother story. With his film Suicide Squad, we could have just let it go. They could have just let it go, but they couldn't. And the real bad part about all of this that nobody even talks about is that when Zack Snyder walked away from Justice League, he was dealing with the most horrific moment in his life, in his daughter taking her own life, and all he really wanted was just somebody to finish his film that he legit worked on for weeks and months after the fact of knowing that his daughter had committed suicide, trying to push through it and just couldn't anymore. And it's like, I think honestly, people don't correlate that there has to be a connection there, that he put in work hours on this film, you know what I'm saying, while he knew what happened to his daughter. And a lot of people don't even talk about that. And so it's like when you ask him to just let it go, I would bring up like a quote from John Wick when they're asking, John, do you want to stop? Like, do you think, are you really back? And I'm like, I think Zach is like, yeah, I think I'm gonna be here. I'm not going anywhere. And I think that's the legit situation. You have to assess that. It's not just like he's a lover of DC fandom. It's not just he's a lover of, us. Like there is a direct correlation to everything that he worked towards during that time. And yes, he probably let it go because he's working on a brand new movie and stuff like that. Certain stuff he let go. But there's some things you just can't let go of. And I think that there's way too many people that are tied to this that at this point, if I was Warner Brothers, and I don't have any say, of course, and I don't have any extra knowledge of knowing anything. I do have a plethora of knowledge and eye accounts. Like I actually was a person that, talked to Mark McClure, who was the original Jimmy Olsen back in 2018 at San Diego Comic-Con, and asked him specific questions about his role in the Justice League and how it changed, how he was originally a police officer, not a jail security person, and how scenes got cut out. And you can go look in our YouTube timeline and find all that. If you guys want me to, like, I can go and talk about anything you really want to. Hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter is Super SEL0320. I'll talk about anything you want to know or what any knowledge I might have and definitely contribute to it. But the reality is, again, if I was Warner Brothers, you got this huge, huge HBO Max streaming service that really you were very vague about what you were going to do with the DC universe, first off, and correlation to the HBO Max. You know that Doom Patrol Season 2 is going to be pushed to HBO Max. But what one of my friends, good friends, Lucas Moore, was even talking about long ago is that what they should do is take the DC universe and incorporate that into HBO Max, but still allow people that really just want um, your HBO Max, um, or just want your DC Universe, go and just they can still do that for $7.99 versus paying $14.99, and you still keep both. Like the niche version of like, all right, we're just gonna keep the DC stuff here, but you keep the inclusion of putting it also here as well as far as HBO Max, and just drop it there for a limited release period of time, like maybe what, 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, something like that. And then after those 4 months of getting money back, recycle that, put it on a Blu-ray or DVD. It doesn't have to be 4K, and you watch the fandom go crazy. Take into account like 60 tweets. How many people are really a part of this now at this point that wouldn't buy a Blu-ray? That wouldn't just sit there and go and buy a $15 Blu-ray? You can't. This is money legit on the table. I think that it would better service to for the fandom to be able to move on. If the fandom could easily move on, they probably could have moved on a long time ago if you just released the way it was. You know what I'm saying? But at this point, if they go and just give it to us, for good or bad, for people that don't believe, people that do believe, people that think this is toxic, people that don't think it's toxic, people that really want this, and people that just could care less and really want them to progress forward, to allow the progression of everything that DC films could be, I think that they should just go ahead, nip this in the bud, and move on. You got way too much to gain. I'm not saying lose, way too much to gain. You got a Green Lantern series that's going to be put on HBO Max, right? You got the DC universe that's thriving as far as a application controlled, that's building up a fandom of people that love Titans, that love Doom Patrol, that love Swamp Thing, that love what you did with Young Justice and rejuvenating that franchise. And it's just like it's so much richness there. And they don't even, and the thing is, I think a key thing that I would say to my theory, what they should do, is they haven't released any of the DCU films on the DC streaming app. And you know that HBO already does. And when those two collide, middle of next year, I think that that's going to be the turnaround. And what you could do, and I mean, this is just, if Warner Brothers sees this, great. If you guys want to capture this moment and me saying this, great, and retweet it or whatever you want to do. But the biggest Christmas present that you could give the DC fandom, and I'm not just talking about like the release the Snyder Cut advocates and pushers and grillers and grinders. I'm talking about the DC fandom, is showing the DC fandom, regardless of who likes what, and regardless of what the trades say, regardless of what people think is popular, that we will look out for the DC film fans and DC comic fans and giving you what your inclusion, what you want. The reason why right now, Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker is still one of the best is not necessarily because you know, WB pumped it or whatever. Like we were like, we love this film. And eventually it got a Blu-ray release that we waited years for. On top of the entire series being put on Blu-ray that we waited years for. We will rally behind that. And they will take that in regards. It's like, oh well, I don't know if I necessarily wanted this Zack Snyder cut, but thank you, Warner Brothers, for acknowledging that there is a group of my friends and family members and community that do want it. And that good faith will carry you into the multitudes. Because, I mean, if Joker isn't evident of it, there is a fan base for people that really want tonally certain different things. And if they want that, then why can't the people that are advocates for the Snyder Cut or what the Assembly Cut is or what Zack Snyder envisioned initially? Of course, they would be there as well. Just saying. I mean, Joker just got created less than 2 years ago, and they rallied behind that. This movie was created and released 2 years ago, but it has been 4 or 5 years in the making. So, yeah, take what you will with that statement. But yeah, I think I just saw something in the comments. Drop your Twitter in the comments. I don't know if they'll let me type it. Sadly, if one of you guys could do me a favor and just type super, so like Superman, and then S as in Sam, E as in Edward, L as in Lima, then 03, I'm sorry, 20. So super cell 0320. If somebody can type that and leave that in the super chat, then that'd be great. I will put it in the conversations after this, though. I got you on that. But yeah, make sure you share this video. Make sure you go and give acknowledgement to the amazing people. I think there's actually a Release the Snyder Cut Twitter page. So definitely go and follow it, and you can see all the craziness going on there. Your boy Chris Wong has been holding it down for real, for real. If I really could, I would do videos like this every week. Of course, your boy Dave, the Film Junkie, and many others that have now become advocates. I would say Screen Junkies is a really big, strong supporter at this point as well, and among a whole bunch of others. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys a bit later on. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell button and like, because yeah, I think we should pump release the Snyder Cut. These guys.